Hi, Danielle Halley here. I'm here with Stephanie Boy, and today we're talking about boundaries and helping kids create boundaries. The goal of this conversation is to encourage you to help your kids clarify their own boundaries, become critical thinkers in all their social and sexual encounters.
Right. So how do we do that? That's the big question.
Yeah, that honestly, that is the big question. What's been your experience?
We've been talking a while about this, and I think what we felt is most important is to give kids sort of the critical thinking tools to analyze what's going on in their head when they feel certain things. And I think it's important that we sort of help kids to identify what are the emotions that come along with each different category in your life. Like where are you comfortable? My first boundary would be around me, the things I'm most comfortable with, that I feel content and happy and powerful and in my own skin and protected, right? That's where all of us feel comfortable.
And you're and in regards to like progressing through their sexuality, making out, holding hands, feet, being naked in front of somebody. So all of
Well,
these steps are
right.
like
They're
you're
something you're comfortable with, but it can be in anything. I mean, it has to do with alcohol and drugs and misogynistic messages that you hear, like if you're in a frat and you hear frat boys saying stuff and all of a sudden you join in and you're like, wait a minute, I really don't like the way that sounds. Maybe you've crossed over your personal boundary, which brings us to the next level is, you know, what's the next thing? So you're out of your comfort zone, you're into the uncomfortable zone. And that's where you feel embarrassed or anxious or worried, fearful, shame, or unhappy, mean, or sad. All of those things are the kind of things we feel when we're like, this really doesn't resonate with me as a good thing.
or even like when the red flag goes up. That's how I always describe it to my kids. Like you're dating somebody and something gets said or done and you have that weird, like you feel your red flag go up, like,
Yeah.
whoa,
It's a gut
whoa,
reaction. I say that all the
yeah,
time.
like that instant. Don't ignore that.
Do
Don't
not
ignore
ignore your
that.
gut. We want to build kids who are thinking, like, when this happens, when my red flag goes up, when my gut is telling me something isn't right, it's okay to step back either at the end of the night, the next day, and go, I really just don't like the person that I was. I really went to that party. I was so excited. I drank 2 beers. All of a sudden, I was not myself anymore, and a boy started to kiss me, and I found that I didn't have the words to say, no, I'm not interested, or, people were
Or
saying
it
things
went or it
around me.
went further than I wanted it to,
Right.
or yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
yeah, and all of that stuff, if we are aware of our gut and listening to our gut, our instinct, then we're going to feel that. And you may not feel it for a week. Maybe something happened, you're like, something just doesn't feel right. Check in with yourself, because like we were saying, when we grew up, we kind of didn't critically think about anything. Like we were just like, oh, okay, I'm at a party. Oh, okay, like, oh, these people are drinking and I don't want to drink. But like if I did drink and I didn't feel good about it, I never the next day said to myself, okay, why do I feel like that? It's really important to check in, to maybe look at my behavior that led me to feel uneasy, uncomfortable, and go, how can I go to a party and come home and still feel in a place of joy and happiness and powerful, and like I was me. I owned my
yeah,
person.
I own my, like I say to my kids all the time, I'm like, I don't want to hear that, Jimmy influenced me. If you're going to make a decision,
Yeah.
own it. Own your decisions.
Yeah.
Own your actions. Own your thoughts. That's a huge thing to harness that. Like own it. Like if you're going to do it, then own it.
But I think it takes it's not just, we can't just give these our kids these skills or expect that they're going to understand these
Right.
skills
You
at
learn them.
17 years of age, 16
Right.
years of age. We have to do it kind of all along. Like,
Right.
give them the opportunity to say, I feel uncomfortable. Okay, let's talk about, why do you feel uncomfortable? Okay, there's nothing wrong with what you did. I mean, we all make choices. We make good choices and we make bad choices. And part of growing up is being able to think through, oh, I don't like that I was mean to that girl in school. I don't like that I joined in with what the other girl said. It made me feel bad. Okay, that's fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. You know, keep doing that. Keep figuring out, what are my personal boundaries? Where is my comfort zone? Where do I
So
feel uncomfortable?
one thing I want to add to this. So I think about, since this is mostly about the sexuality part,
Mm-hmm.
boundaries in sex can often progress really quickly
Mm-hmm.
in the heat of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you? I would like my kids, and I don't know how to. I think other people will grapple with this too. It's like, if you're going somewhere, are you doing it because you're stretching yourself and you want it too?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you doing that to please someone else?
Right. So that is, in the critical thinking thing, that is a huge part of the whole thing, because we can go beyond our comfort zone. We can push ourselves into where we are uncomfortable. So if we took a simple
With
example,
intention, like I want
oh,
this,
intentionally,
and
right.
I
So
want to.
in when you're younger, if you are a horrible public speaker, you just panic at getting up in front of your class and your teacher says, listen, you know your material, you can do this, just get up there with confidence. That's pushing yourself for you and your benefit. You are going to be a better person because of it. The thing to recognize is, why am I pushing myself into the uncomfort zone? Is this for my benefit and my growth? Or is this because my friends are pushing me for their benefit? So if you're
Mhm.
doing something for someone else's benefit, your boyfriend, your friends, your anything that's not your own personal growth, then that is something that is not acceptable. You have to want to go into your uncomfort zone for yourself, for your own personal growth. That's
Yeah.
the only way that it works. Because otherwise you will be constantly revising. Because there's no one who's doing something for their benefit that's, getting up in public speaking and then the next day going, oh, I really, and that'll be your red flag. You're not waking up after doing a great public speaking bit and going, oh, I can't believe I did that, right? You're like, oh, this is amazing. I found I have a new skill. I can do this.
Or you learn bit by bit, and I think a lot of sex decisions um, are made to please the other person,
Mm-hmm.
and for people who are just starting out, I mean, it's one thing um, when you're just starting out, you everything is out of your comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're curious, you're trying something new. um, but at what point are you? I mean, I think in the moment, it's really taking the time to like have that, like, am I ready for this? Do I want this?
Right.
You
Right.
know?
So I told you this, but I think this is kind of an important thing. This woman, Charis Dennison, and she approaches not just sexuality, but talking to kids. She's an educator, a sex educator, in San Francisco, and she says she was an English teacher, and she was like, she uses the metaphor of um, all of the things that you do, or like an English paper. So you do something, you write a rough draft of your English paper, you hand it into your teacher. There's going to be some changes you need to make to it. You need to revise it. You need to tweak it. You need to make it better. You're going to get it back. You're going to think on it. You're going to think about the best way to approach it. You're going to rewrite the paper and you're going to hand it in as a better paper, right? It's the same thing with everything that you do in life. If you are, like we said, out drinking and behavior happens that you're not happy with, take the time, like an English paper, to bring it home, to think about it. How can I approach this differently so that I have a better outcome that I'm okay with? If
Yeah.
it's a sexual encounter with your boyfriend, okay, I don't feel comfortable with that. Okay, I need to talk to him about it. I need to say, I need to take a couple steps back so that I'm comfortable with this. This is the way we're going to approach it. And so it's better, and you move forward in that way. And that's really a healthy way, is just that critical thinking aspect. Remember the English term paper sort of metaphor for everything that you do in life: sex, drinking, social engagement with anybody.
Yeah. No, all right. I think that's a good place to close. I
Okay.
think that's a really good place to close.
Yeah. I think we
The takeaway is talk to your kids about the critical thinking, the boundaries that they set, and make sure that they're setting them for themselves
yes,
and not letting anyone else really push them to be doing something that isn't their own desire.
mm-hmm. And there'll be lots of resources below this video for articles that support this or ideas of how to approach it. Talks. I think I'm going to put a Charis Dennison
Yes.
TED Talk in there.
Yes. I really like that. I
So
like
check
that a
out the
lot.
resources and send us any questions you might have.